Hey everybody, this is Jen Keenan at the Four Squares Residential Group at Keller Williams Real Estate, coming to you with my Love the Way You Live video series. And as we've been talking about all year, we're showcasing agents in other markets since everybody's working remote these days and a lot of people are making changes. And I'd like to share with you my connections in other markets. So this month, I'm so excited to have with me Janelle Rawlston, Big D, Dallas, Texas in the house, from Compass, my good friend. And I'm super excited to talk about Dallas today. I know I've mentioned to you that my husband is a Cowboys fan. I took him out to Texas to a game for his 50th birthday. We spent a little bit of time downtown. We spent a lot of time in Arlington, but definitely did not take a turn into the real estate market there. So I'd love to hear from you, like what's happening in Dallas, and tell me all about real estate out there.
Oh, Jen, it's so great to be here with you. I'm super excited. I'm just honored to be on your show, and it's so cool. I love this whole concept, and just thrilled to be able to share a little bit with you about Dallas, our market here, what's going on, and kind of what's happening and what we think is going to happening or going to happen, especially for people who might be moving here or wondering what it would be like to live here. So I'm thrilled to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of folks from here, from in Greater Boston, relocating to Texas, and certainly in the Dallas area, Dallas suburbs. So it's definitely a hot spot for folks leaving Greater Boston. I know you have a good tech hub there. You have a good financial hub. So I think we have a lot of reciprocal jobs there for folks. So that's one of the reasons I had you on my list, of course.
Yeah, we do, and we do. We have a big tech sector here, a lot of finance, JP Morgan Chase, Toyota. We have a lot of headquarters here, and it seems to be expanding. A lot of the suburbs in this area, like Frisco, some in Arlington, in far north Dallas, do a really good job of promoting their city to larger corporations that are looking for space to expand, especially in the northern suburbs of Dallas, where there typically is more land and more space. They can come in and build a huge, Toyota factory or a huge headquarters for their company. So we're seeing a lot more corporations move here, but we still have a lot of small mom and pop and small time or smaller companies that move here all the time. It's not just big companies, it's little, and just people. A lot of people move here because of the lifestyle, because of the tax advantages of living in Texas, our weather, and there's just a lot to do in the Dallas area, and we're kind of centrally located to both coasts, and makes traveling back and forth easier, or to get to some really awesome places. And Mexico is about 2 hours,
Yeah.
so a lot of fun for vacation too.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm going to share my screen because I want to show our map just to give folks a sense of like the area that we're talking about. So let me just do that real quick, and I'll let you, Janelle, kind of narrate. So obviously Dallas is a big city and you have a kind of far reach in that respect. So talk a little bit about kind of where do you as a local consider like the Dallas city limits, and if somebody was relocating to Dallas, like what does that mean?
It can mean a lot of things because Dallas is very, very huge. So the first thing that I typically ask someone is if there's an area of Dallas that they've heard about or they're familiar with, and where they'll be working. Because if you're looking at this map here, just Dallas proper, you can see the word Dallas itself. That's pretty much downtown.
Right.
So the areas that you'll see, there's like a loop that goes around our city, that's 635.
Yep.
Okay, and that's kind of like the inner city loop. So everything inside of that 635 loop
here,
is really the center of the city, and inside what we call the loop. If you're inside the 635 loop, you're in closer to downtown. So downtown, really, that whole area around downtown and going north from there are some of the, newer areas in the city. The southern part of Dallas is a little bit less, I would say probably more industrial, a little bit less populated. But the northern area of Dallas goes way far north. You can drive for an hour and still be easily inside some of the northern suburbs. And everything that we're looking right here on the map is Dallas, like Dallas County, Dallas proper, city of Dallas. And so some people call me and say, hey, I'm thinking about living in Frisco, or I'd like to live in Plano, or I'd like to live in Tyler, or I'd like to live in, South Lake. Those are way out suburbs. And so I really have to get a sense for where people want to live and where they're going to want to work and where they're going to want to go. Because if somebody moves to Frisco and they work downtown, they need to realize, well, that could take you 45 minutes to an hour to get there. And some people are okay with that. They're like, well, that's great. I drive 45 minutes to work as it is now. And it's like, well, how far are you driving? Well, I'm going, 15 miles. Well, here people, they have an option. If you don't want to have a 45-minute drive, we can find you something closer. But if you want to live way out in the suburbs, if you want something a little bit more out in the country type of living, or more lake type of living, there are other options. And maybe you do want to drive 45 minutes to get downtown.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because we definitely have, it can take you a very long time to go a very short distance here in Greater Boston. Obviously, we don't have the land expanse that you have. So, it can take me 45 minutes to go 5 miles. And it is a different type of driving. If you're driving, highway or freeway, and you're 80 and you're driving 45 minutes versus, city roads and in traffic, it's just different. And I think obviously folks coming from Greater Boston, they understand that things are more spread out in other parts of the area, but it is a different type of commute in that respect. So that's a really good tip in that.
Yeah.
For folks that are thinking about relocating.
Yeah, because you're exactly right. That 45 minutes driving, you could literally be going 70 miles an hour the whole 45 minutes. So it's distance and time both put together, and, time of day and traffic flow is also important to know.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I'd love to talk about, obviously, is a little bit of our price differential, because I think that one of the reasons that folks leave Greater Boston and move to other parts of the country is that, their money of something that they sell here can go much farther in other areas. And I think that where you are, you kind of have a breadth of price points and what you get at different numbers. So, somebody here who's selling a $700,000-800,000 house could pay off their mortgage and take that and go somewhere else and potentially pay cash and still have something left over and get a really beautiful home. So I'd love to talk a little bit about your values. And, I'm assuming most of your housing stock is single families. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay. And price point here varies a lot by area. And just like we were talking about, in that inner city loop inside 635, property there is going to be typically more expensive, and typically, a higher dollar per square foot, because it's inside that loop. And inside that loop, there's hardly any undeveloped land at all. It's already got houses or buildings or something on it. So if somebody wants to come in and redevelop that, they've got to tear something down and start, scrape it and build something new. So further out in the outer suburbs, like we were talking about, Plano, Frisco, McKinney, South Lake, Lucas, there's a bajillion out there. The further out you go, typically the more you can get for your money, lower dollar per square foot. There's a few pockets here and there that are anomalies, and that's not true. Typically because they've got, some type of planned community or a golf course, the new like the TPC golf course or something like that, that's drawn, you know, a boundary around a little area, and that would be different. Our average price point here in our market, I'd say, would be around 400, maybe to 450. And you can get a pretty good size home around 2,000 square feet pretty easily for 450. Now way out north, you can get a lot more for 450. And closer in inner city, you can't get much for 450.
Right.
I'd end up with, you know, 1,000 square feet in a, you know, little box closer to downtown. But if that's where you work, then that's going to be great.
Right. And I think obviously, you know, it's just a different lifestyle, right? Like, do you want to live more in a high rise and have smaller space, or do you want land and need room for your family?
Exactly.
Janelle, I made you host, so if you want to share a couple of examples for us of what you get. I think another thing that's different in your market too is that you have a lot of new construction. And we definitely do not here. And so I think, you know, the opportunity to grab something or build something custom or build something new, you know, is unique to your market.
Yeah, we do. I mean, even all the way downtown, people have come in and scraped and built new. There's a new development or redevelopment going in a lot of older areas of our city where you've got a house that's built in 1930, and then right next door you've got a brand new, you know, two unit condominium or something like that going in. So it can be kind of tricky sometimes moving into those areas that, you know, if you're worried about differences in age and all those things. And it's the further out you go, the newer it's going to get. Same in most places. So let me share my screen here.
Great. I'm excited to see some samples. I love show and tell. It's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best.
So this is an example here. This home
beautiful.
is up in the area that I was talking about, one of the northern suburbs, which is McKinney. And it's a little bit newer. It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, about 2,000 square feet. I think it's 1918.
Yep.
But you know, it's obviously newer. You got a little yard in the back.
Really nice. Lovely.
There's your Cowboy fan sign going on. So
I'll tell Clark we'll take this one.
There you go. But you know, it's typical what you'll find in a home about this size, about 400,000, and one of the, you know, this suburb area is a little bit further north than, you know, some of the others, but that's the kind of the style that you would find here in a home built in the probably mid to later 2000s.
That's lovely. I love that. I love that.
Let's flip over here. This is a home that is in North Dallas. It's a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit closer in. It's also a lot bigger, at about 3,200 square feet. I actually sold this house a couple of years ago.
This is beautiful. It's really beautiful.
And the people that bought it came in and did a total renovation on it, and they did a fabulous job. So I'm super excited about how it turned out, because they did a really great remodel.
Look at those windows. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So, but you know, that's in North Dallas, which is closer in. You're going to spend more for your money, but you can still find reasonably priced real estate. You just have to be really familiar with the areas, different pockets, and schools play a big role in that too, because there are probably a handful of school districts here that are pretty stellar, and price points inside those school districts are going to be more. So it's always important for resale, but if it's not important for your kids to go to school, or if you want to go to private school, or you know, maybe your kids are grown and gone, then it kind of opens that up a little bit as far as what area of Dallas you want to live in, and you have more choices for your price point.
Yeah, I love it. So tell me a little bit about, when folks come in to Dallas from outside of the area, besides the commute and the traffic, like what else are they surprised about, or what other things are you typically educating people on that they maybe not have realized they need to consider?
Um, we always ask what they like to do, what their lifestyle is going to be like. We have on the map that you showed in the beginning, we have a pretty large lake on the east side of Dallas called White Rock Lake. They have a ton of outdoor activities. They have biking, they have sailing competitions, they have hiking, they have 5K runs, they have boating. There's a huge arboretum and outdoor area there. They have jazz concerts and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really neat, really fun. If you're an outdoor person, you might like being closer to that area of town because
Hmm.
there's always something going on there, and it's a really neat it's just a really neat lifestyle. It's kind of a lakey feel to it, but it's still really close in. If you know, depending on like kids, we talked about it, sports, if your kids play sport, different areas of the city that are geared more toward baseball or geared toward football, or those type of things. Obviously, if you're a Cowboy fan and you want to live by the Dallas Cowboys and be able to go see their practice facility and hang out with Jerry Jones,
Right.
you want to live, in Frisco, Plano, kind of up in that northern area. Arlington is kind of mid-cities, about halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth, and that's where the Cowboys play in their stadium. That's also where the Texas Rangers play, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
activity and stuff out there.
I remember when I was there, that's their big kind of like, that's like a sports hub out there, because the baseball stadium's there, the football stadium's there, there's the Six Flags there, I think, too. So I
Yeah.
remember that being, because we're obviously such a sports town here in Boston, so when you go to other cities, it's like, oh, here's where the sports are. They're all out here in the same area, which, makes sense to folks like me who are like, we love our sports here in Greater Boston.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit spread out here. Dallas Mavericks are still downtown Dallas. They are
Hmm.
true Dallas. Dallas Cowboys have always been Arlington, but their big, huge practice facility is in Frisco. The new PGA course that's going in, and PGA Super Everything headquarters is going up in far north Frisco as well. And then, we're kind of spread out a little bit, but not too much. And then we have a couple of really great universities here as well. We have Southern Methodist University in Dallas. We have Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. And we also have a myriad of other smaller colleges around Dallas as well. We have UT Dallas is here, and UT Arlington. And then further north up in Denton, which is really far north, we have North Texas. So there's a lot of sports here, but there's some areas that are set up primarily more for soccer, others for baseball, others for football, different things like that. So
Great.
another thing that we really talk about with people is we really have 4 true seasons here, which people don't realize that. They think Texas is just hot all the time. And it is hot sometimes, I have to say.
It's a different kind of hot.
Yeah, different kind of hot, but we really do have 4 true seasons. They might not last for 3 months, but we do have, we have a true summer, which is the longest season.
Mm-hmm.
We have a true spring and a true fall and a true winter. So people don't realize that either when they live here or when they're moving here, that we really do. So
Well, I think that's important, because there's a lot of people out there that they want the seasons, and you don't want summer all year long. I think we're very kind of seasonal here in Greater Boston, so I could see that would be important to some people, and just having that kind of sense of rhythm of the year and the change of, I don't know, there's something nice about it, and in my opinion, I think. I
yeah,
don't know.
we get that a lot from people moving here from California. They're like, oh my gosh, the leaves are falling off the tree. Like, yeah, it's fall.
Yeah.
It's fall. That's what happens.
Well, Janelle, this has been amazing. And thank you so much for teaching us a little bit about Dallas. And of course, anybody watching this video, if you're going to think about moving to Dallas or just want to visit Dallas, let me know. I'll hook you up with Janelle. She'll take you out to dinner. She'll show you
Hey,
the sights.
absolutely.
Yes.
I'll take you out to dinner. We'll wave at the Cowboys or Jerry Jones or Mark Cuban or whatever you want to do. We'll get you there.
Yes. And, it's so great to have referral partners in cities all around, not only the US, but the globe as well. And so, I really love doing these videos and sharing my, my agent sphere with my, friends and family. And to be able to share that information is so wonderful. And to just have kind of a place to start if you're thinking about making a move. So thanks, Janelle, and have an amazing weekend.
Well, you're
And
welcome. Any questions, anytime. I'm super glad to help. And thank you so much for sharing your show with me and letting me, tell everyone a little bit about Dallas. There's a lot, so it's a huge place. So I'm thrilled just to share whatever I can.
great, great. And thank you again. And to everybody watching, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us here today. And until next time, I hope you love the way you live.